And I'm going to try and go live again every single day, talking about the news, things that are in my mind. It's not necessarily a morning motivation podcast, but it's also not a morning motivation podcast. Basically, we're combining all these different ideas together. Where I'm gonna hop on here, I'll be answering questions in my chat if you guys want to ask me questions. But I'm also gonna be kind of shooting the shit in terms of just how I'm feeling for the day. Also, can maybe give you a little bit of motivation, and we're also gonna talk about the news. We're doing it all. It's a potpourri. We might even call this potpourri. I don't know. We just messing around, but we'll get right into this. I got my coffee and got my vape situation, so we good to rock. We're gonna go ahead and just roll with this right now. So everybody's talking about Jay-Z, Jigga Man, the man, Jermaine. His first name's not Jermaine. Jermaine Ziggingsworth. That's what Jay-Z stands for. Jermaine Ziggingsworth. He performed his verse for God Did last night at the Grammys. And once again, the conversation started to arise around him being the greatest rapper of all time. Which, is always an interesting discussion because it really depends on what metrics you're using to consider greatness. You know what I'm saying, if it's based off of record sales, then no, he is not the greatest of all time. If it's based off of accolades, then no, he also is not the greatest of all time. If it's based off of bar quality and his ability to deliver them, he's up there. But I wouldn't consider him the greatest of all time in that. I think financially, when it comes to success, which is what we're going to talk about on the back end of this, yeah, he just might be the greatest when it comes to success itself, right? And the concept of being successful in the terms of a Western society, right? I don't know what his personal life is like, but he seems pretty damn happy, right? He's married to now the most successful Grammy winner of all time, who's also a beautiful woman and extremely talented. He has a bunch of kids. He is worth over several $billion, right? So it's like Jay-Z seems to be pretty damn successful. What's interesting, though, is like around the same time, Rolling Stone has actually put together a list of the top rappers. Was it Rolling Stone? No, it's Billboard. Sorry. Billboard actually put together a list of the top 100 rappers of all time. Pretty wild. They haven't finished the list yet. Like, they haven't released the top 10 yet. They stopped at number 11, who was Kanye West. Kanye West is number 11 rapper of all time, according to Billboard. But I also don't know what their metrics were for this, and I didn't read the article because we don't be reading in 2023. We watch TikToks, and no one made a TikTok about it yet, so I don't know exactly what we looking at. But I mean, even when I read through this, it doesn't necessarily give its full metrics. It just says that they worked with Vibe magazine, which I thought was super interesting. So they're working with Vibe magazine on this, and essentially it's so I'm trying to read it. I should have read this beforehand to make this easy for y'all, but I didn't. But basically, it talks about the metrics that they used. It says bodies of work. So in the parentheses, it says charted singles, albums, gold and platinum certifications. It says cultural impact and influence, which I'm not sure how you exactly measure that, but according to the parentheses next to this, it says artists' work fostered the genre's evolution. I'm going to bring this up on the screen so you guys can read alongside me. Let's make this a reading exercise for you guys real quick because y'all need to read anyways, right? Y'all need to learn how to read. Keep reading. Reading is fundamental. It helps the soul. It helps the mind. It helps the body. So, all right. So let's see here. When we look at this, let me make this bigger for y'all so y'all can see it here. This is the criteria put together by Billboard and Time Magazine. Let me make sure this fits on the screen so you guys can see it accordingly. Plateau. And then I'm going to make this bigger. Plateau. Okay, so let me get this damn cookie thing off here right quick. Because fuck them cookies. Fuck them cookies, B. So according to this, Billboard and Vibe, right? They teamed up on this. They got a bunch of editors, a squad. I'm very curious to know what the racial profile is on said squad. Um, just because I'm curious to know how many of these people were black, white, etc., so forth, right? I think that's actually vital information. Maybe, depending on who you ask, some people be like, oh, it doesn't matter. I do think it matters significantly. I think it matters a lot, actually, if we're talking about it. But, anyways, so going back to this, it says that yeah, body of work, right? So that's charted singles, albums, gold, platinum certifications. They also have culture impact influence, which is described as how the artist's work fostered a genre's evolution, which is a very interesting way to describe how much clout you have and how much impact you had. Longevity, which is fascinating. Lyrics, storytelling skills, and flow. Right? So a lot of these things are straight up subjective. Like we're being like straight up honest about it. Like we're being subjective. And coming in at number 50 is Rick Ross, right? And so when you look at Rick Ross and you think about this criteria, right? Like his cultural impact and influence is pretty good, right? Like he has a decent body of work. He's done his thing on that. He has, I guess, relatively speaking, good longevity. His lyrics are aight, and his flow is aight. Number 50, right? Rev Run, Melly Mel. Some of these, goddamn pop-ups. Some of these actually make like a lot of sense, right? MC Light, I fuck with this. Jadakiss, Ice-T, Queen Latifah, Bud B, Redman. But to be honest, like, this is the point I'm trying to make, is that a lot of this is straight up subjective, though. Like, I would put Redman a lot higher on this list because based off of the criteria, I think that he's a cultural impact. This dude has done movies and films. His albums are considered classics. He's one of the best rappers probably of all time, depending on who you ask, et cetera, so forth. But he comes in at number 42. You know what I'm saying? E40 doesn't have a lot of albums that I would consider to be like classic albums, right? But he has a couple of hit singles, right? He has a few singles that have gone on the radio and done numbers, right? And so when I think about that, it's like the list gets kind of fucky because you want to make sure that you stick to the criteria and the mythos of this list that you're trying to create. And E40 has multiple hit singles that have charted the Billboard, right? Redman, I don't think has as many, but he has higher highs, meaning that his song with Method Man, which they even mentioned on here, that album that they did together was a massive cultural moment. But you know, out here trying to function with E40 was a cultural moment too. So you know, Dr. Dre. See, and this is where it gets wild because I think Dr. Dre is a billionaire, right? Damn near one of the most successful artists of all time. Literally, Dr. Dre, right? We're not gonna go through this whole list because you know y'all can go read it yourself. But this is what Billboard put together, right? So, Ludacris, Gucci Mane. Let's actually skip ahead a little bit to the one that got people triggered, which was they had Mos Def right at 36. It's kind of wild, but they have Future at 35, right? Which is also kind of wild because it's like you put Future over Mos Def. I can understand in the right conversation situation like why that would make sense, but to be dead ass honest, that's a bold claim, my dude. It's a bold claim, my guy. But I understand it. Like it's justifiable if you talk to the right people in the right class. And also the thing you have to realize too is that we're in 2023. You know what I'm saying? Like, we getting old. We are getting old, unfortunately. It sucks. But that's just how it is. Like, we're aging out here. And so, like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole list. I might save that for another episode or another, like maybe like a YouTube video or something like that, because this is a live stream. And I don't want to be sitting here just scrolling through shit through the live stream. That's kind of wild. So, you guys can go check out the list yourself. It's on Billboard. And we might make a post about it on Quasar Cult. So, make sure you check that out because we're always trying to post stuff like that. The Grammys were last night, so me circling back to what the fuck I was talking about. Grammys were last night, and you know, Jay-Z spat this incredible verse. I watched the video and I'm like, man, this dude is just he's just a very talented dude. You know what I'm saying? He can rap. He's a very good rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jay-Z can rap. That is something that I don't think anybody can deny. Like, the dude has the ability to rap. But it's almost kind of like an Eminem situation. I will say that his verse on God Did is probably his most insightful verse that he spat recently. His last several verses have been just kind of been like, yo, I got B's and B's and I'm rich and I own a weed company. And this verse still has that same energy. Like, he has a couple of like motivational things that could work as a poster that you would see in the office. He's dropping office motivational bars that will get a lot of people, especially white people, pumped up. Yes, I took it there. Anyways, but when it comes to Jigga Man, I think this is actually a good segue to talk about like what it means to be successful. Like, what does it mean to be on a tier of success in the way that people consider it to be? Because I mean, back to the criteria, right, of this list. Nowhere on this list does it say amount of money made, right? Like, I don't think net worth was one of the things that were a qualification on this list, right? But the thing about that is that like I think that a lot of people put Jay-Z on the top of the list because of his net worth and like the things that he's done outside of the bars, right? Like, and that's where it's like, well, you know, if it comes down to business and making it in a way that is taking hip hop to the next level and, like monetizing it and turning it into a viable means of living and prosperity and generational wealth, yes, Jay-Z's the GOAT at that. But when it comes to pushing the needle of the culture and the creative aspects of it and making it, pushing his limits as a creative, then I would say no. And I think that's where a lot of people have these massive, I guess, debates and conflict when it comes to Jay-Z, because it's like, oh, Jay-Z, he's a GOAT, right? Like, this guy's worth billions of dollars. He's married to Beyonce. He owns this. He owns that. He put this on. He got Uzi Vert a contract. He got Meek Mill out of jail. But like all that stuff has like nothing to do with the art, though. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just stuff that we should just be doing for our people. You know what I'm saying? That's just stuff that we should just be doing for our team. You know what I'm saying? Like in the sense of just like supporting and being there for your squad. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I feel like if I had $1 billion or more and I had the clout and the reach that Jay-Z had, I would be out there doing GOAT shit too, right? I'll be getting all my homies out. I'd be taking care of all their cases. We'd be trying to buy weed companies. We'd be doing all kinds of stuff, right? But none of that would have nothing to do with the artistry, right? I'm out here trying to make moves as is as an artist, right? Let's open up a studio, out here doing my damn thing. By the way, Campfire this Friday over at Star Camp Creative Labs. Make sure you check that out. But I digress. The point is that like these things that I'm doing now, while they have come from the art and they come from the grind and all that stuff, blah, 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 they're not like what the art is. You know what I'm saying? They're like, I guess, auxiliary to the art. You know what I'm saying? It's what makes the art work, or I guess it's like a product of the art, but it's not the art themselves. That all comes from here, right? And so when I think about going back to the conversation of greatest rapper of all time, right? I once again go back to my man Nas, because when it comes to the creative aspect of things, right? Like being a creative and out here doing things, watch Nas literally drop 4 pretty damn fucking good albums over the last 2 years, I believe. He also won a Grammy off of one of those albums as well. And so when I think about all that, it's like, bro, like I don't know a lot of rappers at his age doing what he's doing in the way that it's being done. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about, right? Like when I listen to Jay-Z's verse on God Did, which is the only piece of music that he's put out this year, it's hard for me to be like, oh man, he's doing GOAT stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's just rapping. He's doing what he's been known to do for a very long time. The only thing that makes it GOAT is the fact that he did it for, I guess, a 6-minute, 7-minute long verse, right? So that's pretty cool, but it's not like it hasn't been done before, right? There's plenty of rappers who have done that and said poignant, inspirational shit the same way that Jay-Z did in that verse, right? So it'd be different if he did that verse after dropping like 4 albums, right? Like just proving that he still has all that shit in him. Like I said, Nas put out 4 albums over the last 2 years. He won a Grammy for best rap album off of the first. Was it the first one or the second one? Off of King's Disease 1, right? And he went back in, and then he went back in again. This man is, I think, 50. He's over 50, damn near 50, around 50. Let me see here. How old is Nas? Nas is 49 years old. He's almost 50 years old. This man dropped 4 albums in 2 years. I don't know anybody, a lot of people in my life, whatever age range, being able to do that. Like, to drop that much content, that at that high quality, at that level. Nope. I mean, that alone, in my opinion, based off the context of, like, I guess the parameters of the Billboard's list, right? That makes him a GOAT to me. Maybe the GOAT, because I don't know any artist at his age doing what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And so it kind of circles back into, I guess, the main topic of this video, which is success, right? Like, what does it mean to be successful? I think that, yes, money is a good parameter to success, but as you guys have seen time and time again, money is not necessarily the ultimate goal for happiness, right? And there's plenty of people out there who have been able to live very happy lives with their people and do this without a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the misnomer of being an American, or maybe just even a human, is that like, oh, if I have a bunch of money, I'm happy, right? I look at Jay-Z and I feel that Jay-Z is genuinely happy, right? I think that Jay-Z is actually like super satisfied in his life. He has a beautiful family. He has generational wealth set up. He has understanding with his wife. I mean, they go through some things, and a lot of people say that was fake for the clout. Doesn't matter, but Jay-Z definitely has a strong relationship with his wife. He has beautiful kids. He has a strong circle around him. He's wildly successful, right? And so when I think about Jay-Z's success, I think, yeah, he is successful, right? But I also know people who don't have a lot. You know what I'm saying? Who don't have any, like, they're not rich. You know what I'm saying? They're doing their thing, just trying to figure this shit out. But if you ask them if they're happy, they'll say yes. And the reason why they'll say that is because I think, to me, happiness is actively and passionately being able to pursue your goals and having an understanding that you may not win, but at least you get to be able to do it. Because just because you win doesn't mean that you're happy. I think that people will have this misconception time and time again, to where, oh, it's like, oh, I'm so happy because I'm now worth $1 million, or I'm so happy because I got to marry the love of my life, or I'm so happy because I bought a house. You know what I'm saying? But all these things are external. You know what I'm saying? All these things will go away at some point. I mean, you might be able to keep the house in your family, but you're gonna go away. You'll die, right? Your spouse is going to die. Like the money will be redistributed how it's supposed to be redistributed. So happiness becomes more of an internal thing, right? And to me, happiness and success, they don't necessarily line up, because I think that if you do have clear goals and you push towards those goals and you're successful, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're happy per se, but at the same time, it gives you a sense of fulfillment. And I think fulfillment is basically the cheat code in all this, because it's really all about purpose, right? Having a place in the world and being able to leave your mark behind, whether it's through money or it's through art or through your kids or through whatever, right? I think that's what's really all about, is having a sense of purpose. And when we see, like depression and suicide and anxiety, like all these mental health things are to a point where you can really start to see the cracks in society right now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that society is starting to hit a point where we don't want to be responsible for our own destiny. And there's a lot of the guy, my next door neighbor, for having a better car than me. There's all these things I could put the blame on, right? But I'm not going to do that, because me as a person, it's up to me to understand that if I have internal goals that I want to set as a human being, and I want to push myself to that point, then I have to be able to set those goals and move towards them. Nobody else is going to get me to that point. Go make a bunch of money or go feed your family, like, right? That's an internal thing, right? So tying that back to Jay-Z, like, Jay-Z could go make all the money. He can marry 8 Beyoncés. He can do this, he can do that, but it's not going to matter if you don't have your shit together, like, internally. And even with Jay-Z, it's like this dude's constantly doing stuff, right? He's constantly buying new companies, constantly putting himself in new deals, et cetera, so forth. And maybe that's his goal, right? Just to be like the most successful person, quote unquote, to whatever success, the Green Ranger. And how, if in case you didn't know the Green Ranger, he committed suicide. We're talking about Jason David Frank. It turned out that he had committed suicide. And so I think that with that conversation, sorry, I kind of had a distraction there. What that comes down to is understanding that his entire life, he had the goal of being the Green Ranger. He was the Power Ranger for fucking like 20 plus years, just out here Power Rangering, doing this and that. He did all the appearances. He was shaking hands. He was doing all the cameos. His whole life was defined around being a Power Ranger, right? That was the goal, right? But that's such like an external goal. And honestly, it might have been a way to suffer or suffocate some of his inner demons, was to put on that suit, right? And so what happens when you get to the point when you can't be a Power Ranger anymore? Maybe because of your health, or maybe there's someone younger coming along, or maybe they ran out of money and Power Rangers aren't cool anymore, and all of a sudden your external purpose just goes away. What happens when you get to the point when all of a sudden you start trying to grasp onto things, right? You start trying to find new ways to feel something, because this entire time you've been living in a way that has been external for others, and you haven't been filling your own cup. One of my favorite quotes of all time was a thing that my mom had on her wall in our guest bathroom, where it was like a bunch of quotes, and every time I went to go take a shit, I would read all these quotes. And one of my favorite quotes on there was, fill your own cup first, and then nourish your others with the overflow. And oftentimes, a lot of people, I would say a majority of the world, maybe not the world, the majority of America right now is not filling their cup first. They're over obligating themselves. They're stretching themselves too thin. They're putting themselves into a point where, I don't feel satisfied because all this effort and time that I'm putting in, whether this job or whatever, raising these kids, I don't feel fulfilled. And I'm putting all this work out. How come I don't feel that? And you don't feel that because you're not filling your cup. And like I said, the best, that's basically like how I see it when it comes to Jay-Z and Jay-Z's level of success, is that like Jay-Z's success is contingent upon how much he has in his cup. If your cup is full, then you can use that cup to fill other people's cups, and all of a sudden you have a river of liquids, right? A lot of people will fill their cup and then drink it. A lot of people will fill their cup and let that cup sit there and get cold. I don't know where I'm going with that. But the idea being that you want to be able to help others, but you want to be able to help yourself first. Pyramid logic, right? You have to have a strong base before you can go up to the top. And that base is you. And that puts a lot of pressure on artists, puts a lot of pressure on people in general, because I think that when it comes to artistry in general, we often tend to get the short end of the stick, because it's not something that we think about when it comes to finances. If you're an artist and you're out here being like, I'm going to make a bunch of money off of being a rapper, or I'm going to make a bunch of money off of being a painter, then you are in the wrong business, my friend. That's not going to work out the way that you hope that it will. In fact, you are basically setting yourself up for disaster, because you're putting yourself in a position of setting expectations too high. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make money off of your music. I'm not saying, or your art or your talent. I've seen plenty of people do it. I have a lot of friends who make decent money and have done some amazing shit off of their passion for the art and the music. But if I asked them why they're doing this, they would definitely not say that they're in it for the art and in it for the money. They would say that they're in it because they truly believe that their art needs to be shared and heard by the world. So going back to the question of success, I think success is really all about being able to get your art, in terms of being an artist, basically, not in terms of anything else, just in terms of being an artist. I think that success is defined by having your art be embraced and appreciated by those who are able to hear it and experience it. And that's kind of a hard thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not as easy as it seems to go out there and be like, oh, well, I'm going to go and make a song and I'm going to make sure that the world hears it in a way that we all can be happy about it. I mean, that's the ultimate dream, right? I know a lot of people who would love to have their music heard by billions, would rather have their music heard by billions of people than make $1 million on it. And I know a lot of people who would rather make $1 million on their music and have it heard by a couple people, right? So goals play a big role into what your success is. I think that a lot of people have a misconception that, like I said, like, oh, if I have all these numbers on TikTok, if I have $1 billion, if I have the coolest clothes, if I have the coolest music videos, whatever, that those equate to success but those are all external, right? These are all things that can change in a moment. The amount of money you have, the amount of access you have to whatever you have, that could all change in a heartbeat. What doesn't change is your internal spirit, that fire that you have that push yourself to a limit and to a level to be great. And so tying back to Jay-Z once again, since he was the one that kicked off this whole topic, Jay-Z is successful in ways that we don't quite understand because he put himself in a place of comfort. He put himself in a place of being able to think, being able to breathe, which now I'm going to make an actual YouTube video about this because it's a topic I've been thinking about a lot. And I'll just brush by it real quick, but we're talking about AI here in the sense that, to me, I think AI is just as important as fire, the discovery of fire, for not the reasons that you think, not for the practicality of it, but what it allows the human mind to do, like the human upon the world. The invention of fire gave cavemen or Neanderthals, whoever, I guess you should call it the discovery of fire. The discovery of fire allowed for these Neanderthals and early man to rest because fire provided a sense of protection. It gave them more time to cook their food. It gave them time to warm up and kind of sit there and kind of think for a little bit. And that's when you started to see the progression of the human mind and the human spirit was the discovery of fire. Flash forward to AI, it's the same thing. Right now in America, we live in this whole entire workhorse environment where it's like I gotta get up, go to my 9 to 5, grind, come home, feed my family, repeat. And you do that over and over again from the moment you are out of college, if you go to college, all the way until you retire. And then you might have 10, 12 years of retirement, and then you're dead. And that whole philosophy, which has been ingrained into the American society since, I don't know, the early 1900s, has destroyed the American spirit. It has destroyed the creative nature. And so now creatives like me and other people are considered to be fringe because we aren't following the blueprint written by a society to go get the white picket fence and go get the degree and go get the wife and the kids and do all that. We're changing the parameters, right? And so as an artist, if you're out here trying to walk that line, which I try to do many times before in my career, where it's like, well, maybe if I have this job, whatever, I can go do moonlight as an artist or a DJ or whatever. You're never going to get to where you got to be. It's a leap of faith, right? To be able to just jump off that cliff and be whatever. But it's scary because society is built to not support artists. They'll play our music in the stores all the time, right? You'll go to a grocery store and hear Mystical on the radio. You'll go to, a wedding and the DJ will play all the songs, right? Artists as a whole are so important to the entire engine of society, but we get the least amount of love. Why? Because we aren't following the rules necessary to be a member of society, quote unquote. We didn't get the 9 to 5. We didn't go get the degrees. And maybe some of you did, but I'm talking about typically speaking. We didn't do the things that we're supposed to be doing as Americans in society, right? And so because of that, we're often outliers, but our art is often consumed and sought after more than anything else in this world. Prime example is just look at the numbers when it comes to media and television. Every day, millions of people are consuming Netflix constantly, searching for these stories, searching for this art. The Last of Us is crazy popping right now, which used to be a video game, but is now a TV show. Avatar is doing crazy, insane numbers. The MCU is a prime example. We love our stories. But who writes these stories? Who creates these stories? The artists. And that's why, going off into a little conspiracy shit, that's why you have these whole societies built around media. Hollywood, for example, the Writers Guild, the Grammys. All these are little societies that have basically been formed outside of the general population, designed to maybe protect, but then also kind of segregate the art from society. Because on a typical level, most of us are dumb as fuck, and that's just being real about it, right? Most of us aren't capable of creating art in a way that is genuine and pure and it can be shared with the world. Not a lot of people can go make MCU movies, right? So the general populace is not appreciative of the art that they consume on a daily basis. That was a wild tangent. I was supposed to be talking about success, but anyways, we're gonna go to the comment section of one of my posts that I made. If you guys follow me at Jaron Eichner, which is my name, it's right here in the corner, right here. Wait, that way. Yeah, right there. It's right there. You can answer some of the questions that I asked on here, and I might share them to this fucking. I can't talk to you right now. I'll share them to my live stream, and we'll get some interesting insight to your shit. So if we look at this right here, I asked a question the other day. Question for creatives. Let me close my bookmarks so you guys don't be looking at my bookmarks and trying to get shit. Oops, that was even worse. Bookmarks. Blow. Okay. Question of the day for creatives. How do you measure success? Your comments might be read in a video or used as a post. A couple of people answered. We're going to read some of these and respond to that and see how we feel. Stefan Yates said, it's simple for me. It's the satisfaction of the project or the people's responses. And to me, I agree with that to a degree, because I think that when it comes to success, I think it should be more internal. You know what I'm saying? You can hate my shit. Plenty of people do. Plenty of people will be like, bro, he sounds like Kid Cudi, or doesn't make music for me, or whatever bullshit they're saying out there. I hear it all the time. But that doesn't change what I was saying earlier about having that internal goal, having that passion, having that drive, having that long-term vision that you see yourself doing and pushing towards that, right? Because oftentimes people's responses, especially if they're negative or if they're positive, might divert your direction to where it's like, oh, like say if I drop a song that has a cool trap beat on it and right? Like, okay, so now we're on TikTok and we're going viral and everybody loves my Coke and Titty song. And now all of a sudden I feel like I have to keep making Coke and Titty songs because that last song I did was a Coke and Titty song, and now I gotta keep making that. And that diverts me from my direction because I didn't want to, I just made the Coke and Titty song for fun. But now you guys want me to keep making Coke and Titty songs, and now I'm diverting from my goal. Now I'm not saying I'm not gonna ever make Coke and Titty songs again, but going back to Jay-Z, who's a common theme of this podcast episode, is he says it himself, if you want the old me, go buy my old albums. Meaning that he's constantly evolving. He's constantly trying to be different. He's constantly trying to be new. I'm not going to be making Coke and Titty songs my whole career. Some artists, some rappers or whoever, they get stuck in that pattern because they keep getting positive feedback in that direction. And even though that it might be good, it might be a distraction, right? So I do agree with to a point that people's responses is a good tier of success, but I wouldn't necessarily use it as a metric because it might fuck up your flow, bro. It might fuck it up. Anyways, Logan Lowry Rasmussen said, God, I'm still finding the answer to that. During some days, I feel like I'd done what I'd set out to do, and other days I feel disorganized Others, I feel like a disorganized joke who made a bunch of duds. It depends on what day you ask me. And honestly, that's probably like the realest fucking answer that you can probably give in all this. Because dead ass, man, like if I almost don't believe you if you're just saying like, yeah, I'm out here killing it all the time. I'm just crushing it. It's been perfect. Everybody loves me. Every show that I've done has been successful. Everything I drop is amazing. And that's how I know you're lying, because it's like, bro, I have failed so many times as an artist. I've failed many, many times. But like once again, going back to what I've been saying, the constant theme of this is that my failure does not dictate where my goals are set. My goals are still over there, and I still have to get to them. And these failures are just hurdles I have to get over, right? But oftentimes, you might wake up and be like, "Damn, I don't even know if this goal is what I want anymore," right? Or I might be doing all this shit for nothing. I'm not making any money. Like, I'm feeling broke. Like, or maybe I'm making a lot of money, but I don't feel happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all things that can fuck up that mythos on your internal self when you're trying to push towards that goal and you're trying to get there. And I say time and time again, like I've told all my friends and my cohorts, that I'm trying to be this multimedia legend GOAT guy. I'm trying to do this cool multimedia shit and be a multimedia man. I want to put Arizona on the map, quote unquote, for multimedia artistry. And I have a big plan. You know what I'm saying? I have a big vision trying to get to that point. And so I tell people that because, one, I believe that's a way to manifest, but two, it also sets my own personal standards as well. So going to Logan, it's like, bro, write down that long-term goal, man. Write down that long-term goal and put it on a whiteboard that you see every fucking day. You see that thing every single day, and you know that, hey, that's the goal that I gotta fucking do, and whatever else that happens on the way there is just what happens, right? Fuck it. Yeah. Anyways, Seth, my homie Seth from Tucson, he said, by this respect I've earned. That's fair. That kind of goes back to what Stefan was saying about people's responses. Same kind of vibe. I've been disrespected plenty of times, and it hasn't stopped me from doing what I needed to do. At the end of the day, like, I just want to be great, and somebody's respect is not going to. So that's a fair answer, but yeah. Juan R. Hernandez says, to me, being able to take care of my family from my talents and skills is being successful. I used to be more active back in the day with shows and touring, but the headaches and drama from that life just got old. Plus, I can't pay my bills with respect and props. But don't get me wrong, though. I love seeing people around the world enjoy my releases. That part will never get old. A lot of people don't see making money as a measure of success, though. I ain't that guy. Cream. Hey, that's fair, man, because at the end of the day, like, I know this entire podcast I've been over here being like, oh, money, meh, fuck money. But money's a good metric, man. If you're making money off your art, then you deserve to say that you're successful off of that, right? Like, it's a very viable metric for success. Money equals success. If you're able to command a price for your art, like I say, I want $5,000 for this music video, and they gave me $5,000 for a music video. Then it's like, let's go. That's success, bro. You're doing it. And if you can feed your family and pay your bills and be out there grinding and be able to maybe save up for a vacation or some shit, then, bro, you're very successful. But also have a long-term goal, because things can always change. You know, AI might take over your job, right? Or maybe you get fired, or maybe fucking you don't. Maybe you have a divorce. Knock on wood. I'm not trying to wish a divorce on you, but maybe some shit happens to you that shifts you from your current vibe, and so yeah, you have to make sure that you still have those long-term goals. Generational wealth is always a good goal. Like, if you have kids, you know what I'm saying, put your money into your kids, make sure that they're getting properly educated, or that they have a windfall ahead of them, so that when you do die or do pass away or do decide to retire, they're good. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's just me just throwing out random advice, because I be doing that sometimes. Anyways, Luis, what's up? All the ones I surround myself with are also successful, and if not, are the ones I surround myself with also successful, and if not, how can I facilitate, develop, and motivate them to be? That's success to me. Yes, I like that. That's a great answer. I like that answer because it makes you think about what I try to do as a leader. And I've a while back, I would say that I wanted to be a leader. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start a record label and I'm gonna fucking sign artists and we're gonna fucking go take over the rap world and put Arizona on the map and all that fucking bullshit that people be saying. But the thing about it is that I think that a real leader, and this is what I've come to realize over the last just several months, is that being a real leader is a reluctant job. It's not something that most real leaders want to do. And being a reluctant leader is actually a little bit better than being a willing one, because a reluctant leader is willing to look at the other side of the fence and be like, dang, this is kind of wild. Why? Right? Because of the fact that the reluctancy is a sense of hesitation, and that hesitation allows you to move with caution, allows you to move with a sense of urgency and a sense of understanding. It fosters more communication. Oftentimes, a willing leader is the one that gets killed. The willing leader is the one that runs out in front of the army like, I'm going to lead you guys into battle via Braveheart. I remember, didn't he die in Braveheart? Didn't Braveheart get killed in that scene? I don't remember. I'm pretty sure he dies in that scene. I might be wrong. Somebody fact check me. But that's the point. He's a willing leader. He's like, yo, we're going to fight for our freedom. We're going to go out here and do this. Yay. And he ran out there and got bodied, leading a whole ass charge. The reluctant leader would be like, all right, yeah, this shit's kind of wild out here, bruh. We got to win, though, so let's work together to figure out how we're going to do this. I'm not just going to rush the fucking field, right? We're going to have a conversation about it and figure out how we're going to win. But going back to what Luis was saying, a leader begets more leaders. Leaders make leaders who make leaders, right? And so if I'm out here claiming that I'm successful, then what my goal is to try to spread that success to my peers and my cohorts so that they can also be successful. The goal being that is eventually they will go and inspire other people to also be leaders. And what you're doing is that you're changing fucking society, bro. Long term, if you do that, if you keep that philosophy going for generations and generations and generations, all of a sudden you're seeing change in society, where people are stepping up as leaders. What we're seeing right now currently is the opposite, where everybody wants to be a follower because everybody thinks that they can hop on TikTok and be famous and make a bunch of money because it happens from time to time. No one is trying to rewrite the standards. We're trying to basically lower the standards so everybody can get on the boat, and then we act surprised when the boat starts to sink because it's too heavy, right? And the captain's like, bruh, get the fuck off my boat. Anyways, back to these comments. I was just saying random shit because it sounds cool. I'm looking for those clips that could cut up into real, son. Famous. Antoinette, one of my favorite painters. Go follow her art. She's really, really amazing. She has a giant ass mural downtown of James Baldwin that she did. Like huge. It's like on the whole entire building, like a big old 30-story building. So she's kind of a goat. So she knows a lot about success. She said, if someone felt inspired enough by the work to take action in their own life, then it was a success. And that kind of ties into what I was saying earlier about the idea of leaders creating leaders who create leaders. I want to be able to look at art or hear a story and feel like inspired to do more. Like I want to feel like when that piece of art has been consumed, I want to feel like, oh shit, I can go be better now, or I now have a viewpoint of my life that I didn't quite understand before, or now I feel inspired to go write and create my own shit. A movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once is a prime example. That's the first thing that popped in my mind as I said that, because that movie, when I walked out of the theater, I was like, damn, son, I see the world differently, right? I now want to take action in my own life. So as a result, doesn't matter. That movie could have flopped, right? It could have made $2 at the theater. It could have been just me and my wife watching that movie in the theater. And to me, personally, that would have been a success because of how it touched me and how it reached me and how it made me feel as an individual trying to navigate this fucking crazy ass thing that we call life, right? We're just big old bags of meat and electricity sitting on a rock ball, spinning on the earth like this, on a galaxy that's also spinning like this in a fucking universe that's just going somewhere, right? It's crazy. Like when you really think about like your existence as a person, it's fucking crazy, right? And so the best thing you can do is just live. Be great. Make sure you kiss your fucking kids. Make sure you hug your wife. Make sure you call your mom. But also make sure you create great art. Make sure that you fucking are out there trying to be the best version of yourself every single day. Because to me, even if you didn't hit your goal for the day, as long as you gave your best and you actually put your all into it, then you're successful. And honestly, when I try to apply this to my personal life, I'm like, damn, you know what? The last couple years or so, I don't think I've been hitting that emotional current the same way. And then, the universe would be like, okay, well then here, blah, 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 now what? And so now I'm like, okay, cool. So now I actually do have to kind of tap back into the shit that I really, really, really care about, for a variety of reasons. But for the most important reason is because that's what it's all about. Trying to be great. Trying to touch the world in ways that only I can. And this is what I tell my team all the time over at Star Camp. Like, we are going to do the things that only we can do. Each and every one of us have a story to tell. I have an individual story that no one else can tell, as does everybody else in my team. Anybody who comes into our building has the ability to tell that story if they want to. And we can help them tell that story in a way that is genuine, pure. We're not clout chasing or doing shit that other motherfuckers are doing. We're trying to do it our way. Now, with that said, no idea is original. There's nothing new under the sun. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we are trying to do it in a way that feels real. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like I have to go, like a prime example, I could get up right fucking now over here and go do a goofy ass little TikTok dance on some shit, right? Cut it up into a reel, put it on TikTok, and probably get more views on that than any other video I've ever posted. But that wouldn't be real. That wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be genuine. I'd be literally denying my inner spirit and my creativity by doing that. Instead, what I'd rather do is make shit that I really like to make and put it out there and see what happens. If you don't like it, I don't fucking care because I'm still moving towards the things I want to move towards. Still trying to be great. So, yeah, anyways, I try to keep this episode around 45 minutes. We're at 47, so this is a good place to stop. I appreciate you guys all watching this. I don't even know what this is called yet. This is a new thing. Like, this isn't the morning motivation, even though we're doing it at morning. We might do it at night. This isn't the daily cue. It's kind of a combination of the two. This isn't the new fucking podcast that we're doing, that I'm working on with other creatives. This is just me kind of talking. And we will probably put this up in podcast form once I figure out what the fuck I'm going to call it. But the idea is that I appreciate you guys listening to my thoughts, my views, and hopefully you get something out of this that makes you feel like you can, take action in your own life, as Antoinette says. Thanks for watching. One love.